my friends, and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition for one last time. Yesterday we did finish the last DLC, which was Trespasser, and today I want to attempt to give you a review of the Dragon Age game and maybe comparing it to Origins and Dragon Age 2. Maybe similar to what I did in my last video for Dragon Age 2, but no promises. I do have some notes jotted down, so let's go ahead and get started at my first attempt at some sort of professional review. And if you haven't watched my previous videos on Dragon Age Inquisition or even Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2, then spoilers may be coming your way. But before I start the review, let's already get off topic. Since I've had more time to process, I just have to say that dang, Inquisition ended well. I mean, dang, that was like amazingly good. And the interaction with Solas and his like crazy, bizarro justification for everything that he's done and everything that he plans on doing. I'm sure some people are going to disagree with that, but like kind of a crazy person. How the Mark was pretty much killing Theron. And there was one point where I thought like the game ending was going to be him dying to the Mark, because that would have been an interesting option, actually. But anyway, and the cards at the end, not just like the updates that it gave, but the drawings were so like character perfect. And I got so choked up I'm still getting a little choked up just talking about it. Let's see, and the book reading that Cassandra did with all of her voices. Oh my God, that was so hilarious. Oh, and let's not forget my favorite part where I just kind of ended the video and didn't even do my normal signing off blurb. I thought I could have fixed it, but I couldn't be asked yesterday to do that. But anyway, back to why I'm really here. So as I said before, each game, I did really love each game in the Dragon Age series. I think each of them had their pluses and minuses, but on the whole, they told this wonderful, beautiful, immersive story that you could really get into, like, you know, headcanon wise, that to me kind of trumps any negatives from a game, unless it's completely unplayable. And I'm a firm believer that just because you love a game doesn't mean you can't like criticize it a little bit, because I don't think I've ever played a game that's been 100% perfect. There's always just something that you could just tweak a little bit. So, but anyway, at this point, I've only played through each game once. It's hard to say if I have a favorite, because I really don't right now, but I'm sure as I do more replay, since the game replayability is pretty high, even for Dragon Age 2, I think it's pretty high, higher than a lot of other games. I'm sure I'm gonna develop a favorite over time. So the first thing I want to look at in this review are the origin stories. It was fantastic to see a return to having multiple origin options again. In this game we had 4, which was not as many as Origins, but definitely more than Dragon Age 2, obviously. Now I played as the Qunari origin story, but they had human, elf, dwarf, and each had their own unique-ish story as well. I think the human was from a noble family, the elf was Dalish, and the dwarf was a surfacer, if I'm remembering correctly. And as happy as I was to see a return to multiple starting backgrounds, I think they really missed an opportunity to give us, the player, a better origin story or a better beginning to the story of the game. As in, I wish we had a, 30 to 45 minute actual origin story to experience and play. So for example, since I played a Qunari, I was in a mercenary group and hired as security for the Conclave. I would have liked to have seen, but in all reality played, a part of that story. Have some opening quests that could have incorporated the tutorials to learn more about who I was before the explosion. Like, who did I talk to? Who was in my mercenary group? Did I interact with the Divine? What was I specifically doing to be so close to her during the final moments before the explosion? Was I aware that something suspicious was going on, etc.? You know, just something more to immerse myself into my character, more than just words on a page. I just think having something prior to the explosion would have given our characters a bit more of a personal motivation to help, besides just as mark on our hand, i.e. I would have had friends or colleagues that died in the explosion that I, playing through it, would have actually experienced. And because each race had a different backstory, the introduction could have been different, which would have given us more unique origins to experience, maybe? I just feel, that learning about who Theron, that's my Qunari character, was via codex entries and war table missions was just not enough, at least not for me anyway. Now, they may have left this intentionally vague so that we as players could develop like whatever headcanon we wanted for our Inquisitor, which is totally understandable. But I think it would have been possible to have a bit more of a background experience like you did in Origins and still be able to role play your Inquisitor as you liked. My next set of notes are on the overall story of the game. So it was a return to the big epic story and our player character saving the whole world versus Hawk, who was just focused on city or city-state, depending upon how you want to look at it, which was really fun. And it was definitely, I think anyway, a way bigger scale than Dragon Age Origins, because you're fairly quickly put in charge of this huge organization with thousands of members and outposts and fortresses and lots of things. And even in Origins, you're saving Ferelden, but like it's still like you and your friends and that's it. A new game mechanic for this game was the war table, and while a bit overwhelming at times, especially if you got behind like I did, worked really well with the idea of your player character running this huge organization and having fingers and all kinds of different pots. Pots being zones and countries and other governmental organizations like the Chantry and the Templars and mages and oh my, and so many things. Judgments was another game mechanic which also fit very well with this organization setup, and with a variety of judgment options, it will be interesting to make alternative choices for future playthroughs to see how it could potentially affect everything long term. And speaking of choices, it was amazing to see how many of my past decisions from Origins and Dragon Age 2 were incorporated into Inquisition. From huge ones like Edward sleeping with Morrigan to make Kieran, to smaller ones like, I don't know, Hawk's romance partner. I mean, that was important to Hawk, but like not as the story as a whole. When playing through the main questline, there are your normal long-term impactful decisions, such as Templars versus Mages, Allies versus Conscription, Hawk versus Vivienne, what happens with Wardens, who rules Orlais. I think I got all the big ones, maybe. And while I do appreciate how they made these decisions a tough one, as in there isn't always a right answer, and not everyone, not just in your party, but the world will approve of your decision, I wanted to have more. I've noticed a pattern, and maybe it's not really a pattern, but it's something I've noticing since Dragon Age Origins. Maybe not as much in Dragon Age 2, but definitely in Dragon Age Inquisition. There doesn't seem to be an opportunity to be as, quote, evil. I mean, in Dragon Age Origins, you could go with an option to kill Connor. I think there was an option to continue to sell elves into slavery. And in Dragon Age 2, I think you could, again, sell Fen'Harel back into slavery, or let the Arishok take Isabella. And in Dragon Age Inquisition, there are tough decisions, but I'm not sure how, quote, evil you could really be. I mean, what could you do? Let Blackwall be executed for a crime he actually committed, or executing all those you brought in for judgment? You can be rude to your companions where they might leave. You can conscript the mages like I did versus allying with them, neither of which I think is an evil option in my opinion, as I took conscription as drafting into an army versus enslaving them, but that's a whole other discussion. I'm struggling even now to think of a decision that you could make as the Inquisitor that was truly, truly evil. Maybe killing Mythal's guardians at her temple? And when I say evil, I mean like world domination, ruling with an iron fist sort of evil, because the way the game was set up, I feel like it could have easily been an option for us, the players, to do, and I'm still surprised it wasn't available to us. Maybe I'm just missing it, but I feel like the Inquisition could easily have become, when ruled by a different type of Inquisitor, a fanatic-filled organization who didn't negotiate but was ruthless with their enemies, like eliminating or oppressing them just to defeat Corypheus, and then didn't give up their power and instead became something that not just Orlais and Ferelden, but the whole of Thedas would have truly feared. Maybe it's just the way that I played Theron and I missed these options, but in Origins and Dragon Age 2, it was definitely easier to see that you could go down a dark path, and here, not as much, and maybe not at all. And when doing this, it would have been nice to see something specific for your race as options too, with major story decisions. I think one of you mentioned that a Dalish wouldn't really want to make some of these decisions, but the game doesn't provide any other options to go with. And I think the same could be said of a dwarf or a mage human versus a warrior human. So again, I'm not saying that what they did is bad, because it's not. It's wonderful, and I love the story. And I'm no game designer or story writer, but from a player fan perspective, I just wanted more options. That's really, I just wanted more. But anyway, something else I wanted to look at was all of the zones, because dang, there were a lot. And in my opinion, a few too many. But each one was unique and had a sort of unique tale and a sort of unique reason to be there, which I'll get to in a minute. Even the DLC zones, the Frostbite Basin, the Deep Roads were gorgeous. And I loved how each had a unique feel, but not so different that it couldn't be considered part of the same world. I loved the maps and how the war table was used to open each one to get there, and how you could gain new war table missions just by questing there. But there was a lot. I mean, a lot, to the point to where it was too much, in my opinion. And I mean, I'm all for having more content and unique stories, but I think they could have incorporated the main quests into each zone a bit better. For example, the Hissing Wastes. Did we need another zone to fight Venatori and Red Templars? Yes, there was the Dwarven lore there that was cool, but was it needed? Did you need to go there? Did we really need the Forbidden Aces outside of having a reason to collect shards? I mean, do we even need a reason to collect shards? How does all of that tie back into the main Inquisition story? I know, as the Inquisition, we're going to go to each area to fix it and make it better so the inhabitants will support us. But once you reach a certain point in the game, you don't have a reason really to go there in all reality. I did it for a sense of completion, and I probably will on other playthroughs because I'm that person. But even I didn't finish all of the collections available in the game. I'm not saying I'm against side quests. I'm all for them. But I think they went a bit overboard this time. I mean, even the DLC, like specifically Hakon and Descent, Trespassers different because it's continuation of the main story. And I did love Hakon and Descent. I would say they were some of my favorite DLCs probably ever, but I think those could have been incorporated better into like the overall story of the Inquisition. Like I'm thinking, they could have incorporated it where we need to recruit the Adaar to help us defeat Corypheus. So we have to go there and help them. And while we're there, we can find out what happened to Meriden. We need to recruit the dwarves, and they are open to being our ally. But first you have to go help us fix all these earthquakes so that we will be of better use to you. I'm not saying that every zone would have to have a specific reason, but think of this. Besides the hinterlands, the Storm Coast, which you just need to go there to get Bull, Crestwood, again, just to pick up Lagain or whomever it would be for you, and the Western Approach. Was there a need to go to any other zones that was directly related to the main quest, besides just leveling so you could progress the main quest line? I can't think of a reason to go the Hissing Wastes, other than just to go there. I mean, I know we have Haven and Valrio and Skyhold, but those are like not the same style of zones as the others. And again, I'm not trying to hate on side quests because I'm that person who likes to do, obviously, every side quest to get every story, to get as many options as possible. But after a while, I wanted a better tie-in to the main quest besides these are the bad guys and we need to help these people. Maybe it's just me being really needy, but again, I wanted more, which I don't think is a bad thing. I loved this game. I did, but I just wanted more. And I have no easy segue for this portion, but now it's time to talk about companions. And I loved my companions, but I always love my companions, so I'm not sure how meaningful that statement is. But again, they did such a great job with the unique personalities and interactions with you, the evolving of your relationship over time and their points of view and just everything. I loved each one of them for their own reasons and how each of them had their own strengths that an Inquisitor would actually want, like how Vivienne had all this court experience, Iron Bull with his Canary spy connections, even Blackwall with his supposed warden background. I love that Varric was back. I love that they brought back Hawk and Morrigan to be party members, even if it was just for a hot minute, and even Leliana to a certain extent. I adored the party banner. It's one of my favorite parts of the game, but seriously, it was so hard to trigger in this game. I know I didn't get all of it, and I'm really kind of annoyed that I don't think I'm ever going to find out who won the game of mental chess. I think that's what it's called anyway, between Iron Bull and Solas, because it's not going to happen now, obviously. I also really appreciate the time jump between the base game and first 2 DLCs versus Trespasser. I think it was roughly 2-ish years between those. And with that gap, I was able to see everything my companions had talked about doing in the base game and then put it into action. For example, Cassandra wanting to reform the Seekers and then see her actually starting to do that. It was one of my favorite mechanics in Dragon Age 2 was that long passage of time so that you could see your relationships develop with your companions and even as a player character to a bit. And it was nice to see them really incorporate that, even if just a bit towards the end in Dragon Age Inquisition. Now I want to switch gears a bit and talk about gameplay, and no surprise, it was roughly the same as the last 2 games. Still the 3-party companion setup, which I do like very much, so if you played Origins and Dragon Age 2, you could pick up Inquisition version very quickly because nothing huge had changed in that vein. And that's no complaints for me because I like the party mechanic, like I think I just said, and it's something that would be familiar, and I don't think it's very hard to pick up. But and I think some of you probably know what I'm going to complain about, tactics, or the lack of their existence, as I don't think setting a spell or an action to preferred, active, or do not use is really a tactic. I really loved how they did tactics in Origins and Dragon Age 2, and for that to just go away for reasons was kind of odd and annoying because I felt like that was intrinsically Dragon Age. Yeah, the tactical camera came back, so yay, but I would have rather have had tactics. Also, why was there a need to limit how many spells that I as a mage could have active on my bar at one time? Because the UI needed to look prettier? That's the only reason I could think of. I just don't understand it. And why, oh why, did you take away my healing as a mage? In my opinion, you nerfed it pretty hard in Dragon Age 2 versus Origins, because I feel like Origins had way more options for healing. But it was gone completely in Inquisition. Instead, we had bubbles, and not even the good kind. See Disco Priests in World of Warcraft. And why didn't our companions have unique talent trees? That was so awesome. Like Bianca for Varric, or you could have had Seeker for Cassandra, or I don't know, Tal-Vashoth for Iron Bull. That was something so cool that Dragon Age 2 did that Inquisition just missed out on. Like they had new companions and like a red Jenny tree for Sera would have been funny. Yes, I know I could use the fact that my companions use the same specialization that I as a player character would achieve either at being a mage or a warrior or a rogue, and I could help that in making my decisions on which one I wanted to go with. And yes, I did like how they made, specializations have a quest to do with trainers, but I would have given all that up for something companion unique to be in all reality. Again, it's fine the way that it is. It's fine, but it could have been better. But one thing I haven't touched on that was such a huge change in this game was graphics. And oh my God, the graphics and the look of the game. I mean, the character creation screen alone, I could get lost in for hours. The next character I want to do in Inquisition is going to be female, and I know I'm going to be there forever working on all those sliders. But not just the player character's face, but everyone's faces to see individual eyelashes and eyebrow hairs. And I know I touched on it earlier when I talked about the zones, but gosh, they were so beautiful. They were so unique, but so tied in with being part of Thedas. The way they used lyrium and the deep roads to light everything, or even how I used my mark to light the dark rooms at the end was so gorgeous. One thing I do wish they would do is I wish they would have like a normal day-night cycle, kind of think like Skyrim or like the Fallout games where like passage of time. That would have been cool. But it's not a sticking point to me. I don't think they've ever done that, so that's not like the end-all be-all. But I loved how like one zone was raining and the nest had like dust sort of storms, and the graphics were just, they were so beautiful. They were so beautiful. And the music. Let's not forget about the music. The bards with all their songs, which were so hilarious, and they would totally get stuck in my head. And the DLC music, how even the DLCs had new music, and how it fit in with everything that came before. I love the mysterious mystery style music. Yes, I know that made absolutely no sense. In Trespasser, when I'm trying to solve the Canary plot, the dwarven battle style music in Descent. But I loved how they had themes for like the romance and themes for your questing and battles, and it was just wonderful. I loved it. I cannot say how much I appreciated the effort that they put into that. It made everything that much more cinematic to me. And I've no doubt left out so many talking points about this game, but I've come to the end of my review notes for Inquisition. I do have to say I have loved playing the Dragon Age series so much for the past year, and it has been a year. I checked, my first video for Origins went up on August 13th, so it's been a long time, and I cannot believe I'm actually finished, because I am notorious for not finishing games, hence one of the reasons I started this channel. This game series has been beyond amazing. It has made me laugh so very hard, and it did make me cry. It did. Seahawks mom. I love how each game connected to the next, even with how Inquisition ended. It set up the next one to come because, yes, I know there is a Dragon Age 4 in development. And now that I finally finished with all the games, I can finally start looking at those videos and articles about Dragon Age 4 and stop avoiding them for potential spoilers. I know it will likely be years before anything is released, and cross fingers it doesn't get stuck in development hell. But I will be interesting to see where it ends up. I have my thoughts on where the story could take place, Siege Bender, but that's about it. Will I play it when it comes out? Obviously. I don't typically like to play games the moment they release because bugs. But yes, I will play it when it does launch or shortly thereafter. Another thing I've been thinking about is, will I come back to Dragon Age before the next game comes out? And it's possible. It may be a different style of a Let's Play video, but it won't be for a while, as I want to take a bit of a breather for a moment. Not a bad thing, I just want to have a chance to miss Dragon Age a little bit before I go back to it. But what's next for me? Well, as some of you have asked and answered, The Witcher 2 will take over my daily video slot starting tomorrow, and on Saturday I am starting a brand new game. It's one that has been on my list for ages to play, and it's supposed to be this cult role-playing gem, so I'm very excited to start playing it. I don't want to spoil it because I want it to be a surprise, but it's a game that will likely give me no end in jump scares and will be taking place, I think, in modern times. So I'm so excited to get that one too, starting on Saturday. But before I leave Dragon Age, for now anyway, I want to take a moment, as I always do, to thank each one of you, my lovely, amazing viewers, for taking this long Dragon Age journey with me. I hope my silly commentary has brought some amusement to your day, especially in 2020, and that you might be interested in sticking around for more in the future. When I started this channel, I never expected anyone really to watch my videos, and to now have over 150 subscribers just blows me away. Yes, I know in the world of YouTube it's so tiny, but to me it's huge. I don't think I could ever appropriately verbalize how much it means to have your subscription, that you take the time to watch and even comment or even like my videos. All I can say is thank you, my internet friends. Thank you for coming with me on this little video game journey, and I cannot wait for our next one. So as always, thank you again so very much for watching. Please do keep yourselves safe, and I will see you again tomorrow with another new video.